I love Kaiju number 8. Yeah, there are only 29 chapters out, but if anything has the potential to become one of the top long-running shonen manga, I would say it's Kaiju 8. In this video, I want to look at the first 3 chapters of Kaiju 8 to try and see if it has what it takes to become one of the legends of the manga industry. Kaiju 8 tells the story of Kafka Hibino, a 32-year-old man who works as a professional kaiju cleaner in Japan. In this world, there are monsters called kaiju. Kaiju are creatures that come in different shapes and sizes, all of them having different features, some more humanoid than others. Every kaiju possesses a core, which is their vital organ and weakness inside their body. And since every kaiju comes in a different location, their core changes accordingly. In this world, there is the Kaiju Defense Force, which defeats kaiju to keep citizens safe, and the cleaning crew comes in afterward to clean up their mess. Since he was a kid, Kafka had dreamed about being a top member of the Kaiju Defense Force, but ended up with a career cleaning up for the real heroes. After that description, you may be wondering how I could possibly claim that this story with 29 chapters could be a legend of the manga industry. And well, on one hand, you may be right. These are some heavy expectations that I'm going to be thrusting upon the series in this video, but with the immense amount of turnover that is coming for Shonen Jump, Kaiju 8 may be a hint into the future of the magazine. There is some immediate evidence for why Kaiju 8 will become one of the faces of manga. It is the fastest series in Jump to ever reach 1 million copies sold. With only 2 volumes released, it has sold over 1 million copies. Kaiju 8 has shattered expectations in manga sales up until this point, and I think the strength of the story shows us that its success is sustainable. The most important element to this story is the age of our main character, Kafka. Just by making him a little bit older, the entire series feels fresh and different. Everything that we are used to in a long-running shonen is present in this series, except for the perspective of our main character. It is so refreshing to see a main character in an anime not be a high schooler. Don't get me wrong, I love the high schooler growing up to achieve his goal type of a story as much as the next person, but it can get old quick when that's all we see in these long-running shonen battle series. By far, the most interesting moments in these first 3 chapters are the quiet ones, where Kafka struggles with where his life has gone. Kafka always wanted to be on the Kaiju Defense Force, but his skill was never anywhere close enough to reach that hefty goal. A goal shared with his childhood friend, Mina Ashiro. Mina has become one of the strongest kaiju fighters in the world, and Kafka is left behind cleaning up the messes, spending his nights drinking beer, thinking about what could have been if he was just a little bit stronger. This core aspect of the series is something that everyone can relate to. Everyone has that thing when they were a kid. Maybe it was to be an athlete, or maybe it was to be an astronaut. For so many of us, those dreams stay fiction. But that doesn't mean we stop having those dreams as we age. Looking to the future, looking to the person we want to become, doesn't stop once you leave your childhood. This is exactly where Kafka is at the start of the series. Kafka is seemingly stuck in this cycle of cleaning up the messes of the Kaiju Defense Force, until one day a small kaiju gives him the ability to transform into a humanoid kaiju. Kafka now having the abilities that can rival some of the top kaiju fighters, and having a real opportunity to become a part of the Defense Force. Except for the one fact that he can't show any of his abilities to the higher-ups out of fear of being killed or experimented on. After Kafka gains this power, and alongside his new friend Lino, he decides to take the test to become a kaiju fighter once again. This time hoping that his dream will become a reality, even though he will attempt to not use his powers to help him in the test. Since Kafka cannot show his powers to the trainers, there is a really unique storytelling opportunity here, where Kafka will have to prove his worth at least in some capacity without the abilities of his kaiju. In a way, this sets up a payoff for a character who has been a failure in this regard throughout his entire life. There is this sad veil that lies over the series, in the fact that our main character would not have chosen to take this test again if he wasn't lucky enough to get the kaiju power. And there's a real sorrow to that, which also exists in a series like My Hero Academia, where Deku actually had no chance of becoming a superhero until he was given the most powerful quirk in existence. Not saying this as a critique of Kaiju 8, but actually a fantastic opportunity that may come later on. While I'm still waiting for Deku to reflect on this fact, I think there's a chance we will get to see some of this explored in Kaiju 8 because Kafka is such an older character. If he is able to reach his goal and stand beside his former best friend, then surely there may be a conversation about if his presence there is really earned. This base contradiction is one of the most interesting aspects of the series. Will Kafka ever be able to save someone without the power of the kaiju? The thing that causes all of this harm in the first place. Speaking of the kaiju, the world building here isn't anything out of the ordinary, however, I still find the world to be an interesting setup for this story. There are so many questions about this world, basically anything about who the kaiju are and where they come from. I mean, the fact that there is no mention of humans becoming kaiju at the start of the series shows us that this world has a lot more going on than we would typically think. As you know, this isn't a new thing for shonen, more like a standard bar for battle series to meet, and Kaiju 8 definitely satisfies having a complex world. The side characters in the story are also really great so far. Lino Ichikawa is what you might think of when you think of a classic shonen protagonist, but here he is a side character and friend of Kafka. And many of the other candidates that you'll see in the first handful of chapters have the initial groundwork for what it will take to have an amazing cast of characters, but only time will tell if they truly get fleshed out enough throughout the entire series. The side character that I am most interested in is Kafka's childhood friend Mina. How in the world did she get this strong, and why would she have not at least attempted to help Kafka learn how to battle these kaiju since they were such close friends when they were younger? This is one of the biggest mysteries in the series, and one that I can't wait to be explored. I think it is a great example of the potential that these characters have moving forward. If it hasn't been made clear already, this series hinges on the perspective of our main character to provide its unique feeling. And hell, that is one of the most exciting things to me about this series. Main characters in long-running shonen are all starting to blend together ever since the dawn of the big three. I mean, I know they're all different, and I think a few are just strictly better than others, but there is no denying that they are all built from the same basic archetype. With Kaiju 8, we get someone who once could have fit into that archetype, but now we get a fresh perspective on it. I think, above all else, Kaiju 8 represents a bright future for the Shonen Jump landscape. A series that isn't totally bound to the weekly cycles, and by that same categorization, isn't bound to make things that feel the same. The heart of a typical shonen is here, but it also has a chance to ascend the typical shonen label and become a genuinely fantastic story. A story about what it means to hold on to your dreams and keep pursuing them even when the world tells you to stop. A true tale about perseverance. If you haven't checked out this series yet, I highly recommend you do so. because it is series like this that have a chance to transform anime and manga as we know it. And it would be a shame to not check it out and support it as soon as you can. Thank you everyone for watching this video. If you've read Kaiju 8 already, comment down below, tell me some of your thoughts on the series, and I hope if you haven't checked it out that you will after this video, because I think it's genuinely a great series. If you want to hear some of my thoughts on Kaiju 8 and other anime and manga in general, make sure to follow me on Twitter at AnnieEssays. And if you enjoy my work, support me on Patreon, the link is down below, everything helps there. So thank you so much for watching, make sure to subscribe, and I hope to see you in the next one.